So welcome to Radio Migrante, Rachel, no? So we're happy to have you here with us today. And sige, pakibati na lang ang listeners at pakilala ang iyong sarili.
Sige, hello, good evening, magandang gabi na sa lahat ng ating mga tagapakinig. No, ako po si Rachel Villamor, ang Deputy Secretary General ng Anak Bayan, Philippines. Basically, no, yung Anak Bayan, isa siyang comprehensive national democratic mass organization na naniniwala at its core na ang lipunang Pilipino ay semi-colonial and semi-feudal. No? So, very crucial yon no, sa orientation ng anak bayan dahil dito nakabatay no, yung kanyang isinusulong na program and alternative which is the National Democratic Struggle. No? So, naniniwala ito na may tatlong salot ng lipunang Pilipino, no, yung imperialism, bureaucrat capitalism, and feudalism. At its core, no, yung pambansang demokrasya or national democracy ay ang kanyang inihahain na alternatiba para ganap na maranasan o matamasan ng kabataan at mamamayang Pilipino yung kalayaan, yung demokrasya at kanilang mga karapatan. So parang in brief lang, no, pambansa siya dahil pangunahin niyang ipinaglalaban yung national sovereignty natin laban sa US imperialism dahil kinikilala natin maging sa kasalukuyan hindi pa din tunay na malaya no yung Pilipinas. Bagamat wala na yung direct colonialism na kung saan nandito ang US mismo sa Pilipinas, nananatili yung kanilang control, influence, power no over the Philippine economy, culture, at politics. Sa kabilang banda, kaya siya democratic dahil pangunahin niyang inilulunsad niyong pakikibakang magsasaka para sa lupa bilang mayorya no, ng populasyon ng Pilipinas. Kaakibat nito, yung pagtataguyod din no, ng demokratikong karapatan ng malawak na masa ng sambayanan. No? So, yun yung parang in-gist. Ano yung anak bayan? Kaya sa saklaw niya talaga, hindi lang yung issues ng mga kabataan, but rather yung issues din ng iba't ibang sektor dahil batid niya na hindi naman matatamasa yan ng kabataan yung kanyang mga karapatan tulad na lang ng edukasyon, karapatan sa trabaho, lalo na kapag graduate bilang mga susunod na henerasyon ng mga manggagawa. Kung hindi niya isasanib o hindi siya makikiisa no, sa laban din ng ibang sektor no, ng ating lipunan. Ayun. So, sa akin, as a personally, paano ako naging bahagi o parang naging isang activist, nagsimula siya nung aking college days. College days? No, first year, na as a first year student sa University of the Philippines. Napukaw ako particular sa issue ng jeepney phase out. No? So, para sa ating mga tagapakinig na in gist yung jeepney phase out dito sa Pilipinas, balak tanggalin yung mga traditional jeepneys at sa pilitang palitan ng mga electric jeepneys, ng mga modernized quote-unquote jeepneys at the expense ng livelihood ng mga tsuper. As a UP student, talagang jeeps yung gamit namin around no? Tapos isang araw nagpataw sila ng policy na sisimulan na nga na yung phase out. At ako personally, nung araw na yon, kausap ko din yung mga drivers na hindi ko maintindihan bakit sila sa pilitang tinatanggal, bakit silang itong nasa nagpapatakbo, no, at very crucial sa pagtakbo ng ating ekonomiya, lalo na sa mga schools bilang commuter as a student, ay very affected kami. No, kaya nung ipinato yung phase out, hindi ako nagdalawang isip, sumali ako sa ipinatawag na protesta para labanan yon kasama yung mga tsuper. At doon na nagsimula yung aking parang political awakening. Parang yung pag-alam ko din sa iba pang mga issues na, halimbawa, particular sa usapin ng phase out, hindi lang siya merely pagtanggal sa mga jeeps, but rather bahagi no ng neoliberal policies na ipinapato ng regime para sa ganansya ng corporations, so both local and multinational. Diyan na, nagtuloy-tuloy na yung aking pag-alam, paggamit ng mga natututunan ko sa klase hanggang sa mas nakita kong yung sarili ko mas madalas na no, sa mga picket line, sa mga sakahan at doon mismo na nakikipag-aralan kasama ng mga magsasaka at mga manggagawa. Yun.
Ayan. Ano ba yung mga pinakamahirap na parte, no, ng pagiging aktivista mo? At ano yung pinaka masaya? Let's say it's hard, it's a struggle talaga eh, 'di ba? Pero let's see kung ano yung sa tingin mong pinakamasaya na parte ng pagiging aktivista.
Sige, siguro simula ko dun sa pinakamahirap. Sa bahagi ko, no, though hindi ko sinasabing general siyang nararanasan ng lahat. Pero personally, yung isa, siyempre yung pagtanggap ng pamilya, ng kaibigan, ng friends. Kasi although totoo, madami din namang sumusuport, hindi naman, isang realidad din na may mga hindi pa naiintindihan or parang hindi din sumasang-ayon from the get-go na kung bakit pa ako sumasali sa ganitong mga activities and organizations. No, pero along the way, no, it's a process na paintindi sa kanila ano ba yung kabuluhan ng mga bagay na ito. No? So, sa tingin ko, isa yun sa pinakamahirap sa simula, primarily. At siguro pangalawa, of course, yung sa security, no, safety and security as a Filipino activist, the political human rights climate in the Philippines is really na intense, especially under the Marcos Duterte regime. But on the other side, pinakamasaya na bahagi, I guess it would be the collective living, yung collective struggle and action. Kasi despite all of these parang contradictions, yung mga struggles na kinakaharap as a personally as an activist, makikita mo yung hindi lang siya sense of fulfillment, pero yung pagkilala na mas malaki pa yung lahat ng ito mula sa mas malaki ito sa ating mga sarili, no? Tsaka doon mo nakikita yung parang papel mo bilang isang kabataan, bilang isang estudyante sa buong lipunan. At syempre along the way, makikilala mo din, makakasalumuha mo yung iba't ibang mga kabataan from different walks of life at matututo ka din na kung paano ba no, makikipamuhay, no, mas personally talagang na-expand yung aking pag-unawa na I think napaka sayang bahagi no, no dahil talagang dami mo makikilala tapos may mas lalawak yung iyong pag-intindi sa daigdig no, at sa tao in general. Siyempre yung journey along the way nakasama mo yung ah, mga kasama sa organization.
Ayan, just to ano lang, follow-up question dun sa nabanggit mo na isa sa mga mahirap na parte ng pagiging aktivista. So you mentioned first year college ka nag-start. So not to reveal your age, no? Pero that means it's been a while kasi graduate ka na din, 'di ba? So ang
Yes.
tanong ko lang if kamusta naman yung pagtanggap ng mula sa iyong pamilya at mga kaibigan? Nagbago pa? Ganun pa rin ba?
Nagbago naman siya, no, in the positive direction na I could say na mas ngayon naman relatively naiintindihan na ng at least the closest people around me, including my family, no, yung buong kabuluhan sa isa yung aking aktivismo. Though hindi siya naging, kumbaga, linear progress, nagkaroon talaga yan ng pulantigin na pagpapaliwanag both sa family and friends. Though, admittedly, up until now, hindi naman din siya parang, smooth sailing na. Dahil ang dami pa ding mga usapin na kinakailangan pa din natin patuloy na ipaliwanag. Na di din naman natin isinisisi sa kanila, na parang dahil yun sa kanilang personal lang na backwardness, but rather, inianak talaga ng bulok na kultura eh. No? Tsaka matagalang krisis. Mas yun kasi yun eh na, sorry, may dog ako.
Cute nga.
Yung chronic crisis, essentially, na nag-render din sa kanilang isipin kung baka hobby ko lang to or something, no? Kasi nga, matagal na yung mga problema ng Pilipinas, no? At sa kanila, parang, baka short term ko lang tong parang hobby ko lang, na isang bagay na patuloy kong pinapaliwanag na hindi yun yung kaso, na ito'y bahagi na din talaga ng aking pamumuhay bilang isang tao, ganyan.
Ayan, that's good to know naman na there's like positive changes, no? So ngayon dumako naman tayo sa history ng anak bayan, no? So let's contextualize kailan at saka what's the need? Kasi tinatag ito 1998, bukod sa kailan, kung bakit, ano yung historical context ng anak bayan?
Ayun, no? So, siguro itinatag siya noong 1998, November 30, No, kaya this year yung kanyang 25th, so hallmark milestone niya, no? Anniversary. So, tinatag siya ng added context di 34 years after itatag yung Kabataang Makabayan. No? So, yung nangungunang organisasyon ng mga kabataang Pilipino noong panahon ng martial law. No, so kung sa context at orientation ng anak bayan, nung itinayo siya, ihinalo niya yung kanyang orientation sa maningning, essentially na tradition no, ng Katipunan ng 1896 sa pangunan ni Andres Bonifacio at ng Kabataan Makabayan noong 1964. No? So, ang premise, kumbaga dala-dala nitong programang pampolitika ay, as I mentioned, yung pambansang demokratikong pakikibakan na may bagong tipo. No? Kasi I've mentioned na humalaw ito sa katipunan, ah, kati- tradisyon ng katipunan na nagbibitbit ng old national democratic type of struggle. No? Ang dala ngayon ng anak bayan ay and the struggle of a new type na laban sa US imperialism na siyang in-develop niya over the years na mula sa kanyang pagsusuri na ang lipunang Pilipino na ay isang malakolonya at malapidal na lipunan. Parang dagdag din na context, edi nung panahon kasi ng Kabataang Makabayan, nag-declare ng martial law no si Marcos Sr. And then after no, naging underground, mga illegal organizations. Technically, there wasn't any mass organization ng of any sector no sa buong Pilipinas. And after a while, nawalan na rin talaga ng comprehensive organization ng mga kabataang Pilipino. Yun kasi yung kabataang makabayan eh. No, pero dahil nung ginawang illegal sila, nawala. No? Kaya matagal na panahon no, na naging makitid yung organizing ng Filipino youth, no, primarily concentrated na lang sa mga students dahil may existing na ilang organizations, though, halimbawa, League of the Filipino Students, primarily focused on students alone. No, kaya, nung inisip, no, at kinonceptualize yung anak bayan, nasa forefront nito yung pagpunan dun sa matagal ng pangangailangan na buuin yung isang organization na sumasaklaw sa iba't ibang sektor ng kabataan. No, so yun yung doon niya nakukuha yung kanyang comprehensiveness, no, more than forging the ND struggle, no, yung kanyang pagkaugat mula sa malawak na masa ng kabataang manggagawa, kabataang magsasaka, maralitang lungsod, etc. So, yung pagtatatag ng anak bayan, ano siya, major na tagumpay sa mga pagsisikap para palawaki at palakasin yung youth movement sa buong Pilipinas mula sa mga naging mga errors no in the past years no ng 80s sa organizing. Kaya onwards no noong 1998 talagang lumaki yung membership ng Anak Bayan, nakapumuno talaga siya hindi lang sa laban ng mga estudyante pero sa laban ng iba't ibang sektor. Yun.
Ayan. So, 25 years na ang anak bayan, no? And just to, kung ano na ba yung mga narating natin, kumbaga. So, bakit mahalaga na ipagpatuloy atong laban? So, ano yung mga problema na sinusubukan nating, like, labanan? Kumbaga, hanggang ngayon, may pagbabago ba? Is there like, may naipanalo na ba, kumbaga, ang anak bayan?
Madami, no? Siyempre, no, parang since 1998, pinakatampok no, ng pagkakatatag pala ng Anak Bayan, nakilala talaga ang Anak Bayan sa pamumuno niya sa iba't ibang issue ng kabataan, no, hindi lang ng mga estudyante. Halimbawa na lang no, yung usapin ng paglaban para sa dagdag budget, no, pagtutol sa tuition fee and other school fees increase, paglaban for academic freedom, as well as sa schools, sa communities rather, demolition at pagtutol sa oil price hikes. Ang isang tampok na napagtagumpayan ng anak bayan, yung kanyang pakikibaka para patalsikin no, si Estrada, no, si Erap Estrada, yung Oust Erap movement na pinangunahan talaga ng anak bayan mula sa kanyang pagkakatatag no, nung 1998 onwards, no? So, bukod doon, yung pagbabasura ng mandatory ROTC. No, isa yan sa pinangunahan ng anak bayan noong 2001, no, hanggang sa kasalukuyan na binabalik siya. Ang balita nga, or parang pag binalikan yung kasaysayan ng anak bayan, nagsimula yun sa tutulak talaga ng mga barikada sa schools, walk out, no, nagbo-boycott ang mga estudyante para hindi attenda ng kanilang ROTC classes, mandatory ROTC classes, dahil sa pagkamatay noon ng isang ROTC cadet. No, at bukod doon, more recent, no, yung pamumuno niya sa paglaban para sa free education. So this 2017, no, na ipagtagumpayan natin yung universal access to quality tertiary education, na although syempre limited pa no yung sinasaklaw, pero to some extent nakapagpamigay or nakapagbigay ng free tuition sa mga college students sa state universities and colleges. No, although batid naman natin hindi doon nagtatapos yung laban, no, isa siyang significant no, bahagi ng mga napagtagumpayan no, na accomplish ng AB in recent years, no, at particular yan sa loob ng schools. Kung sa mga communities, tampok talaga kung saan nakalatag yung anak bayan, yung pagtutol sa demolition, na talaga yung pinaglalaban natin na magkaroon ng karapatan sa pabahay no yung maralitang lungsod, no yung urban poor, ma-relocate man sila kung primarily on-site no na may hindi pinapabayaan no, or parang itinatapon kung saan lang. No, at syempre kasama ng itong recent din, itong March, yung kasama natin na ang mga tsuper sa paglulunsad ng transport strike. No? So naging matagumpay siya, natulak natin yung Malacanang na i-review yung guidelines for the phase out. Though, ibang usapin pa ako anong inubot noon, no? Pero, ayan. So far, naging malawak yung karanasan ng anak bayan sa pagpamumuno niya sa iba't ibang issues. At meron na siyang, kumbaga, mayaman na record no, sa pamumuno talaga ng laban ng mamamayan at kabataan.
Ayan. So talagang marami naman palang naipanalo ang anak bayan. Pero bakit mahalaga, no, sumama o maging involved ang mga kabataan, maging ang kabataan sa diaspora? So kasi yung ibang mga kabataan sinasabi, lalo na yung mga nandito na sa ibang bansa, sinasabi, bakit kailangan pa naming makialam, kumbaga sa nangyayari sa Pilipinas, nandito na ang buhay namin. So I just wanted to know your thoughts about that.
Let's start off dun sa bakit ba mahalaga sumama, no? So, sa atin naman, kung babaybayin natin yung kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, hindi mawawala dyan. Hindi lang ng Pilipinas, but ng daigdig. Hindi mawawala yung makasaysayang papel ng kabataan sa pag-enact ng social change, no? So, yan yung bukod tanging katangian ng kabataan, eh. Tayo yung, kumbaga sinasabi ng pag-asa ng bayan, no? Kung wala yung kabataan, hindi kumbaga magsasagnate no yung lipunan, hindi magkakaroon ng iba't ibang pamamaraan no, para ikiit no yung karapatan ng mamamayan. No, so bahagi yun ng ating role. Kung sa usapin ng, syempre tayo as kabataan, tayo yung susunod na halimbawa henerasyon, no? Anong klaseng lipunan ba ang ating mamanahin kung hindi tayo lalaban? Kumbaga, yun yung isang gusto nating maipunto ng kahalagahan ng pagsama o maging involved na yung mga kabataan sa paglaban para sa isang malayang lipunan, pantay-pantay na lipunan. Kasi at the end of it all, ang kinabukasan natin nung nakataya, no? Ang susunod na henerasyon na dugo ng mga kabataan, no, ang magmamana ng lipunan. Kung sa bahagi ng mga kasama natin na sa diaspora, ang sigurong masasabi ko, mahalaga pa din at very crucial yung pagluhok natin sa pakikibaka para laban sa binanggit ko imperialismo, burokrata kapitalismo at feudalismo, dahil hindi nawawala at actually kahit pumunta pa tayo sa ibang bansa. Although totoo, iba ang social conditions, hindi nawawala kung bakit ba tayo natulak pumunta in the first place. No, kadalasan, ang dami-daming kabataan ang napipilitang pumunta sa abroad no, para magtrabaho or mag-aral dahil sa kawalan ng oportunidad dito sa Pilipinas na alam natin hindi yan magiging sustainable in the future no, yung ganyang kaayusan. At kahit saan man tayo mapunta, hindi naman tayo, kumbaga, hiwalay no, sa epekto kawing na imperialismo. Saan mang bansa, kahit nasa US pa man tayo, nandun tayo mismo sa tungki ng kaaway. Kayang-kaya natin na, or nasa atin yung puwang na higit na expose, no, ilantad yung mga patakaran, hindi lang ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas, pero ng mga patakaran no, ng gobyerno na mga imperialistang bansa. Na sa tingin ko napakahalagang usapin o aspeto ng pagsusulong natin no, ng pambansang demokratikong pakikibaka, kailangan nating maipakita sa pinakamaraming Pilipino, dayuhan, no, yung konkretong itsura ng nananatiling malakolonyal at malapidal na kaayusan. No? Kasi for the longest time, no, ang narrative ng US, tayo ay independent na, sila ay helping knight in shining armor ng mga bansa. At gusto natin yan i-debunk, gusto nating sabihin na hindi yan totoo. Actually, ito yung nangyayari. Pinapanatili niyong bulok yung aming lipunan. No? Pinipilit niyo na tinutulak niyo na mag-abroad ng mga kabataan kasi diyan kayo kikita. Na inline siya sa inyong interests and demands. No? So, mahalaga, no? Very crucial no? Yung papel ng ating mga kababayan, mga kapwa kabataan Pilipino na nasa ibang bansa para una, syempre higit din na maabot yung iba pang mga Pilipino dyan na alam natin, more often than not, ay hindi naman itinulak lang dahil for tourism or leisure. That's a very outlier case, no? More often than not, dahil yan sa tulak ng kahirapan, tulad ng pangangailangan ng magandang oportunidad, na at hindi all hope is lost, no? Kailangan natin maipakita na nandito yung pakikibaka, no, yung national democratic struggle para umalwan dito sa bulok na kaayusan na nararanasan natin ngayon.
Hello, Rachel. Salamat ulit for coming to this interview. Yung question is, ngayong dumadami na ang mga kabataang aktivista na dinudukot ng Estado, ano ang mensahe mo sa mga kabataan na natatakot na maaari silang maging target ng Estado kapag sumali sila sa anak bayan?
Okay, no. First off, no, we have to establish that there's nothing wrong with activism, with joining Anak Bayan, more so the national democratic struggle, no, and advocating for a socialist society, no. So, though the fears are valid, it's not really surprising because of the worsening human rights situation. But what I would have to say is that activism or joining Anak Bayan is not what we should be fearing about. No, pero the overall enemy that we are facing, and that the fact that we're not alone in this struggle. No, so I think that's what I've also personally been holding on to, especially when I was also a new activist, is the fact that we're not alone in this fight. There are hundreds, thousands of students also with us in this struggle. And of course, looking back in our history, especially Anak Bayan, history has proved its correctness, no, its struggles, its campaigns with the accomplishment, no, or the victory of some of the democratic rights, no, though not yet in its full extent, no, pero at least the victories that it has experienced in recent, no, proves that what we're fighting for is just, no, and that the people support us, no, the masses, the basic masses support us. If you go to the communities, if anything, they will be the ones who will feed you, they will welcome you into their homes. The workers will be there to join you in the struggle for better wages, working conditions. No, so I think that's something that we should really take in mind. No, although the fear is valid, at the end of the day, we are not alone in the fight. No, and what we are fighting for is just. And in a democracy, activism is necessary. No, because we cannot personally ourselves detach ourselves from society. At the end of the day, we'll always be affected in some way, shape, or form, no, by policies enacted in our government, in our country. So instead of being a passive force to just let it happen to you, the best way to go about it is to struggle for a better future, and make use of our talents, no, our wit. Yeah.
Salamat. Yung susunod ng question ay kamakailan lang ngayong taon nabalitaan namin na nakatanggap ka ng death threats at ang iyong pamilya. Hindi ka ba natatakot? May mga nagbago ba sa'yo matapos makatanggap ng ganong threats?
Natatakot din, no? Parang, I think it's normal na matakot. Pero, ang mahalaga naman ay paano ito pangingibabawan, no? How will we overcome it, no? With the collective, no? With the organization. So, although, yes, natatakot kasi at hindi lang naman ito yung case. And speaking for most of the members of Anak Bayan, a lot experienced talaga yung profiling, surveillance. Just recently, Anak Bayan member, if you're familiar, Jed and Janila, they are Anak Bayan members recently abducted by the military. And a lot of activists, no, in the Philippines experience this on a day-to-day basis, yung harassment. No? Pero at come to think of it, no, if mapapangibabawan o if we'll be enveloped by our fear, kung walang kikilos, walang mangyayari, no? Parang hindi naman, again, like what I've said, hindi naman tayo nag-iisa sa laban na ito. Kaya katambal or parang part and parcel of our activism is organizing it, no? Na to ensure that, we're not the only ones in the fight. No, we really have to work hard to explain to the people the necessity of the struggle, and it's essentially a mass movement. So dun tayo kumukuha ng lakas na loob, the courage, the revolutionary courage to carry on despite the hardships, the fear, sometimes the setbacks, especially when there are comrades that die in the struggle. No, it's a reality, eh. No, when you whether you're in the movement or not, it happens. No, so what matters is what you want to do about it. So, yun naman, that's what I cling on to. And a lot of our members also cling on to na, to ensure that this doesn't happen again to another person, that we fight for that we fight for a society that uh, is for the betterment of the majority. And if anything, no, what we also cling on to is that the victory or kumbaga the uh full experience or parang pag tamasa natin ng ating mga karapatan ay nasa sama-samang pagkilos, no? So, nasa atin yung lakas at tagumpay. Sabi nga, the power of the people is stronger than the people in power, no? So, cliche, pero that's really true.
Yeah,
Just a
for sure.
follow-up question. Sorry, Diego. I just have to have a question regarding. So it's not just you that received death threats, but also your family. Is that correct?
Yeah, my mom got that call.
Yeah.
And of course, they also receive threats, no, na from different
Mm-hmm.
people encouraging me to leave the movement, no, stop my activism. Ever since I became an activist, no. Pero along the way, they're understanding naman yung necessity for it.
Okay, that's good. Kasi my follow-up question was supposed to be like, if that changed again, if ever we're moving into positive direction, but does that death threat like move it like in the backward? Like naging ano ba ulit yung paningin nila na parang nakakatakot yan, tigil na natin to. Like, anong naging reaction ng mom mo specifically when she received the call?
Takot din naman, no? She was afraid. Though, from the onset, parang matagal niya nang sinasabi. She's always been telling me that it's dangerous, especially nung under pa ng Duterte regime. No regard for human rights, no? So, they were already really scared. Pero, ngayon, despite na of course, the fear, what really helped them was getting to know then the people, my org mates, no, fellow members of Anak Bayan, and showing them what we do on a day-to-day basis, that it's not just rallies, but, going to the communities, holding uh, educational discussions, cultural activities, socio-economic programs, no. Although the fear is there, no, pero I don't think that will really go away anytime soon, and it's valid. But what helps naman din is realizing that what we are fighting for is right, no, and that we are in the right. No, so yeah, it's a continuing struggle.
Yeah, for sure. So before Diego asks the final question, I do have another follow-up regarding that. So,
Well,
regarding kasi talagang dumadami na yung ano, no, yung mga pananakot na ginagawa sa ating mga aktivista. And ano nang nagbago sa may nagbago ba sa sistema ng anak bayan para mas mapaigting yung seguridad ng mga member? Like meron anong mga like status doon?
Mm. So recently, or parang this year, we really adopted yung strict adherence to regular security assessments. So in our general assemblies, we'd go over uh, if any member experienced harassment or profiling kahit sa mobilizations when we experience uh, police in civilian clothes. No, we confront them and then later on assess with the collective, with the organization, how to go about this, what led to this. So regular security assessments is one, no, and as well as resolution building. Second is of course conducting the basic human know your rights, no, training, so that what to do when state or civilian police in civilian clothes, no, takes your picture, how will you confront them, what to do, or when a police officer comes to your house na asks for your whatever document or whatever. So basic rundown and orientation of our rights, no workshops for that. And third would be closely working with human rights organizations in the country, like the Commission on Human Rights. They're there to help us then conduct, if needed, mga investigations like what happened just this January when our national office was raided. No, not really raided, no, pero forcibly entered by state agents. Yeah.
Okay, salamat. So, Diego, you can ask the final question.
Yeah, before that, I also have a follow-up question, like hindi naman related, pero this is more related sa diaspora. It's one of the biggest problems we have when it comes to engaging the diaspora in activism. One of the main arguments is, well, nandito ako sa Canada. Why do I have to care about what's happening in the Philippines? Or the other way around, like for example, if we're advocating for something, tapos other people are like, you don't even live there. Why do you care so much? Or why should we listen to you when you're not even affected directly by the things that are happening back home? So just for example, if you were to face something like that, what would be your response?
Okay. So although I think what's crucial is that we really have to, first among our members, we really have to address or parang ensure the continuing political education and study movement among our membership to understand that although, yes, we're not directly affected now by policies of the Philippine government, at the core of it all, the policies of imperialism and feudalism, bureaucrat capitalism remain. And actually, if anything, we're still experiencing imperialism wherever we go. No, so I think that's really something crucial that we really have to address. But in terms of addressing or answering that, like why should you care? But because if we're in the context of these are Filipino, is that correct? Or parang okay. So if these are Filipino, parang we have to address what are the issues that made them migrate to Canada. No? At the top of my head, I think that's one thing that we could start the discussion with. No? Although yes, you escaped or hindi escaped, no? Pero you're already out of the conditions, the Philippine conditions. Parang at the end of the day, you'll still have friends or at least parang people that you know in the Philippines that will be experiencing the same issues. I think that's kaya parang what I mentioned nung una was very crucial yung sustained and continuing political discussions, no? Because that kind of consciousness does not really come easily. Like, it's really hard. I understand that point, that struggle, that why would you care when you're not there anymore? No? Pero international, uh, more than international solidarity, pero yung struggle na for our Filipinos, kababayans in the Philippines, struggle for basic democratic rights comes with the premise that we understand na hindi yan issue lang ng mga Pilipino in the Philippines, pero kahit saan ka pumunta, affected tayo dahil ang daming patakaran o policies ngayon ng government na nagtutulak sa mga Pilipinong mag-abroad. So parang, I think that's one. Then, of course, yung papel talaga ng US imperialism, I think that is really crucial in explaining the necessity and why we should continue to struggle here or there in Canada, because, the US continues to kill our people, no, ensure that the economy is backwards, as well as our education, etc. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was actually great. Thank you so much. Ano po ang inyong mensahe or call to action sa ating mga tagapakinig?
Personally, if the last 5 years, if anything, have only made me realize that there is really no other way forward but through struggle and militant activism. Like, yes, we can engage, in social media or whatever means we want, but at the end of the day, we know we're not faced in the illusion that the ruling class will willingly give our democratic rights. So we are reaffirmed every day by the correctness, of our militant activism with the continuing dire conditions of our people, and the ND struggle, the national democratic struggle with the socialist perspective, is first unstoppable and is needed more than anything by the youth themselves, ourselves, and the Filipino people, wherever you may be, for a brighter future, in opposing the ruling rotten system dominated by imperialism. So, if anything, what I want to leave our listeners is the message that we should all be national democratic activists. The times call for it. Especially in this worsening economic crisis, global economic crisis, with the impending regional wars, and of course its multiplier effect in the semi-colony and semi-feudal countries. There's no other way forward but through activism, militant and the activism. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, maraming salamat, Rachel, for taking the time to speak with us today. So na ngayon natutunan natin, yung kung bakit mahalagang sumama ang mga kabataan sa diaspora o yung mga kabataan na nasa ibang bansa, kung paano konektado ang issue na naranasan natin dito sa issue na naranasan sa Pilipinas. Dyan po natatapos ang aming interview. Again, maraming salamat sa ating mga tagapakinig na patuloy na sinusuportahan ng Radyo Migrante.